I really like that episode 5, Spy X Family, clarifies one very important question that I think the entire fandom currently is having with this series, and that is that the color of pantsu that Lloyd wears is black. So, there you go, guys. Have a good day. No, anyways, episode 5, it says it on his information page when it goes to the chief's room, okay? It's random information they decided to throw in there. But anyways, yeah, episode 5 was fantastic. And I think this episode is really kind of finally having that moment where Anya gets what she wants. Like, this is the celebration for Anya for being able to pass this entrance and everything. She finally gets that spy moment that she's been looking for. So I thought it was especially cute just for that. And that final scene between Lloyd and Anya was just kind of that icing on top of the cake, that little bit of bonding between the two of them. Anya finally thanking Lloyd for essentially giving her happiness ever since she left the orphanage. Again, it kind of creates, he's not gonna just ditch Anya once this is all over, but it kind of creates that sadness in the viewer, and that we know that Lloyd is just doing this for the mission, and the idea is that once the mission's over, he ditches everything, but that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But no, it's funny, opening up this episode, we kind of continue the same thing we were doing with the previous episode. Like, all these bad omens are happening that are essentially telling them they're gonna fail this. The cat passing past them, Anya stepping in poop, Yor's bracelet breaking, all this stuff that's really showing them signs that this is not gonna go well. Yeah, their name's not on there, but they end up being on the waiting list. And I did like this scene because, honestly, we've seen Lloyd in action quite a bit. This is kind of the first time we get to see the organization and how they look up to Lloyd, but we haven't seen too much of Yor, and so I was kind of half expecting when they were talking about this waiting list that if somebody drops out, Anya can take the spot. Like, sure enough, Yor jumps right into it. I can probably get rid of somebody. It's like, no, I can't do that. That'd be bad. I can't kill the innocent. I'm like, oh, I assume at least Yor would just go after somebody and scare them into dropping out, but no. We just waited. It was funny that Lloyd thought that he was going to drop out. Henry's like, you do know what the most deadliest killer in the entire country is, right? Mosquitoes. You saved his life, so that's a good thing. But what's interesting right here is they kind of hit a little bit on the idea of Lloyd being conflicted because Henry essentially states that he's not going to probably be here. He's like, by the time you actually get admittance, I probably won't be here, so take care kind of thing. But Lloyd is questioning at this point who would be more beneficial to me. I'm not sure if he's implying the guy that they punched, the guy that everybody last week essentially wanted dead, or if it'd be Henry. Technically, Henry is more accepting of them to get into the facility. But the other guy, what I think they're implying is that he would technically have more connections to get closer to Donovan. So it is Lloyd's internal conflict of who should I support, one or the other. In the end, it seems like he's supporting Henry. Like, it would be cool to know maybe in the next episode that Lloyd does something to help Henry stay in the picture. Because obviously Henry is somebody that would be most beneficial to him to get into circles, because the other guy's going to be a conflict. He's always going to be somebody he's going to be having difficulty with and could cause conflict. So it would be cool. It would be cool. Like I said, during the entirety of this episode, getting this perspective from the chief and his assistant and talking about how good Lloyd is. She's kind of like a little bit worried about the whole situation. He's like, he's got it covered. This is Twilight we're talking about. You're not too familiar with him, are you? And he's puffing up Twilight. Like, whatever he does is probably going to be for a good thing. So this leads into the celebration of them getting in, because obviously they get a phone call after Anya does her acceptance dance, which I think was vitally important for them to get the acceptance. Frankie immediately pops in, wants to celebrate. By the way, can we acknowledge Frankie best uncle for Anya? He's the guy that while Anya's crying, which I'm really mad that they're still doing that. Every episode we're getting a crying Anya. Well, Lloyd doesn't want to give Anya her celebration gift, which is to basically recreate Bond Man and the rescuing of the princess. Frankie talks him into it, and he does a call out saying that they successfully got in and that he needs to basically take over this entire castle, bring in so many guys in so they can recreate this whole scenario. And this assistant's like, get him everything he needs, because obviously this guy's very important. The chief trusts him. this is our best spy, and so obviously he's doing something for a purpose. It was just way cool. And having all the agents showing up to that location and them all getting into it as well, because they all look up to Twilight as being like the best spy. So even though he's making up this whole thing, they're just completely giving into it like, this has got to be for something really important. I've always looked forward to this moment that we could finally work at Twilight's side. And obviously we have to put something into place so that Yor doesn't get a hint at what's going on here. She's drunk the whole time. Which led up to something really great at the end, which was fantastic. But yeah, fantastic animation. They went crazy with this episode with the animation. I think this is Wit Studios episode again, but got a little feel of Attack on Titan with a lot of the perspective shots and him jumping through things. Very Bubble and Attack on Titan. It looked fantastic. It was a lot of really cool fight scenes, even though the entire time everybody's going, oh my gosh, this is like a dream come true, and they're getting beat up by him. I did like the questionnaire thing because it was like all these questions that Lloyd obviously doesn't know. I thought that for a minute there they were going to really hit on, I guess, Lloyd coming to realization that he doesn't know much about Anya. I almost felt like it would be a really great moment for him to realize, I need to know more about this girl. Now, granted, at their first meeting and their first time together, Anya kind of spilled a bunch of beans onto Lloyd to let him know about her because she read his mind and knew that it was important that they knew more about each other. But it only led up to him knowing really about peanuts. That was about it. But it still gets in that whole element of just the spontaneousness of a child. I really do give this writer credit for really pulling off a very innocent and childlike mind that Anya is. So when it comes to the question of what does Anya really want right now, and you're trying to think of like all these important things, and it's just, I just want a drink of water. Just like at the moment, she just wants a drink of water. But yes, this leads to probably the big moment that everybody was probably most excited. I almost wanted to put a clip of it on Twitter, but I'm like, nah. I think this is one of those cool scenes that I think people need to just see it when it happens. But yeah, despite the fact that Anya had assigned Mama to be whatever, because he's drunk, she ends up being like the last boss of this encounter. Yeah, technically Frankie was behind her, but that was just literally a slap and he was done. But yeah, drunk Yor comes up on the stage. Lloyd's already flustered because he's having to act like this Bond man in front of everybody, all the spies that are there. But of course, they're all blown away by his incredible acting. But yeah, Yor comes up drunk and it turns into pretty much a fight to the death. Yor was like super drunk, mad. Nobody's gonna kidnap my Anya, and literally is going for the throat of Lloyd. But yeah, he's like, well, oh my gosh, she's gonna kill me. And then this is the part that I wanted to clip and throw up on Twitter. Just the spin around kick, heel breaks, and she just plops. It doesn't move. It's like all intense, crazy action. They're fighting, kicks are going around, cutting his face, and he's like, holy crap, she's gonna kill me. And then roundhouse kick, flop. And it's just over. It's just instantly over. It was fantastic. I just love that end. I knew they couldn't let it keep going because you kind of want to keep that mystery around who would actually win the fight between Lloyd and Yor. Obviously, I would have probably assumed Yor would probably win because she's trained in killing, whereas Lloyd is trained in deception. Lloyd isn't, yeah, he is pretty dang good at combat, but he's got a lot of other specialties that he's in, whereas Yor is strictly, infiltration and killing, basically. So it had to end in some funny way, and that was a really cute way to end it. I was half expecting him to kind of start trying to, I guess, excuse why she's so good, like, because she's in a drunken stupor, that like she's got this dire motherly instincts that's overcoming all. Because yes, there does exist an element of adrenaline through protective nature of a mother or father, or the direness of something happening to somebody you love. We had this situation a long time ago. My father was working on this car that he was rebuilding, and at some point one of the jacks came off and it fell on him. And my mother, she's not a strong woman, literally went out there and lifted the thing up in a panic. It is a thing. And I was kind of expecting him to kind of excuse it that way, but it kind of just went to, okay, well, she fell over. That's fine. But yeah, he finally reaches Anya, rescues her. Really cute little moment. She's so happy about her papa, and that cuts to the scene with him with Anya and her talking about how she's had so much fun ever since she left the orphanage, which was like super sweet. And then yes, the chief gets the invoice for all the stuff that he just did, because all these vehicles, all these spy agents, all this money that was spent renting the castle, all that kind of stuff, probably damage and all that stuff that was done to it, turned out to be quite a bit. So that was a lot of fun. A great episode. I loved it. It was like I said, it was Anya finally getting her spy moment that she's kind of been looking forward to this entire time. The drunken Yor was fantastic. Frankie, best uncle. And I love seeing just how serious everybody took with Twilight was fantastic as well. But yeah, fantastic episode. Definitely love it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what's thought of the episode. Subscribe if you have not already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon. Our tips link in the description below. We definitely appreciate everybody that does. And y'all take care.